Dear Professor, in your results, you showed that the regeneration plate has a positive effect on reducing oxidative stress. And there was another very significant point, which also, if I may say so, stood out or was particularly prominent, and that was the area of inflammation. Could you say something about that?
Yes, one of the areas we examined was the effect under oxidative stress on intestinal epithelial cells. And then we examined to what extent the cells that mediate inflammation, these are the cells that migrate from the blood into the tissue, and they produce oxygen radicals, thus causing local oxidative stress. To what extent the production of these oxygen radicals by these cells is reduced by the regenerative board. We used cells that had been differentiated for a total of 6 days by adding a chemical agent. These are all standardized methods from scientific research. At the same time, we placed these cells on the regenerative board every day for 8 hours. The control group was cultured under the same conditions, but without the regenerative board. We then conducted experiments to determine to what extent the production of radicals by these cells is actually affected. And we found that the effect of the regenerative board led, on one hand, to an increase in the cellular metabolism of these cells, but at the same time, the production of oxygen radicals was significantly reduced. This means that the cells simply no longer produced as many oxygen radicals. So when these cells penetrate the inflamed tissue, the secondary tissue damage caused by an excess of radicals in this tissue is significantly reduced. And as a result, the wound healing process or even the overall recovery process is naturally improved.
If we were to sum it up for lay people, we could say that there's an improvement or support of healing in inflammations or inflammatory processes in the body overnight. Can it be summarized like that?
Yes, that's exactly how it can be put. Inflammations often don't occur in just one place, but as an example, I once mentioned the intestine as specifically inflammatory processes in the intestine caused by food intolerance, but inflammatory processes can also occur for completely different reasons. But the basic principle, specifically this radical excess, is part of the inflammatory process, and we can limit it. Whether we can reduce inflammation as a whole, which of course consists of many different and complex aspects throughout the entire organism, that is in vivo, I cannot say for certain because we have only studied it at the cellular level, and that very thoroughly and specifically.
In short, from my perspective, your results suggest that relief through the reduction of oxidative stress by improving and supporting inflammation essentially brings the entire organism into a better state because it reduces the overall burden on the body and allows the self-healing powers to manifest much more effectively. Therefore, they can be activated more quickly and efficiently, which in turn supports all healing processes.
Yes, that's exactly how I see it as well. So I completely agree with your statement.
Dear Professor, perhaps at the end of this interview, we could once again summarize, or perhaps you could summarize the results of this study.
That is, of course, very, very difficult because there are a great many small details that we also examine. But I would like to try and give you, dear viewers, so to speak, something to take away with you, something tangible, so that you can leave and say, all right, I understood that. That's what the regeneration plate does. In this regard, I will be I will generalize a little, of course, without going into details. But my original claim, the reduction of oxidative stress during sleep, that is what I was able to determine, or what we were able to determine at our institute in relation to the regeneration plate. Oxidative stress affects not only the intestines, liver, kidneys, and other important internal organs, but also the skin, which is very visible. There is a reduction of local oxidative stress in tissues where inflammatory processes can be triggered and subsequently become chronic, which is a long-term and often problematic condition. So essentially, thanks to the regeneration plate, we could promote an overall and comprehensive reduction, that is a significant decrease in oxidative stress, which acts in every single part of the organism and affects its overall health and vitality. At the same time, however, oxidative stress is not reduced to such an extent that, for example, our primary and most important immune defense in the blood, or also the complex cellular signaling would stop functioning properly and effectively, which could have serious consequences for the overall health of the organism. And the result of this reduction in oxidative stress, the significant reduction in oxidative stress, is higher cell vitality, a greater sense of well-being for the entire organism, and better regeneration so that we are once again fit for the next day. So reducing oxidative stress during sleep leads to an improved sense of well-being.
I have one final question, namely the regeneration board is not a medical device, meaning it is not a therapeutic medical product. But based on the results you have now obtained from your study, would you say that the regeneration board would in any case be a support in all therapeutic processes?
Yes, I would fully and unreservedly support that in every case. I wouldn't see it as the only or exclusive therapeutic method, not at all, but as a so-called complementary or adjuvant therapeutic option to already existing and established conventional medical therapies. I would definitely and wholeheartedly recommend it because based on the available data, which we have had the opportunity to examine and analyze in detail, it simply and demonstrably improves overall vitality and the energy level of the entire organism.